Okay, imagine this. Take your mind here. You go outside or you look out your window in the morning and you see a hawk standing on top of your cat, picking your cat apart with his beak, standing on it with his talons and picking it apart with his beak. So imagine that. No, that didn't happen to me. Um, I just wanted you to take your mind there with me. Welcome to another episode of Sorry for My Language. It's mind exercise. Mm. All right. Wait, welcome to episode 28 of Sorry for My Language. I'm your host, Grindstone. And Sorry for My Language is my show where I spend a little bit of time and sometimes a lot of time upping you up on some game that you might need to just slide into your portfolio to make life a better place, a little more pleasant playground for you to exist in. Okay, good game, recognized game. So I hope you are here with me. Because today, now I don't know why I always forget this, but Grindstone Universal is a sponsor of this show. Sorry for my language. So brought to you by Grindstone Universal, which you can find on grindstoneuniversal.com. You'll be able to find most of the fine wares that I wear most of the time. Now today, this isn't a Grindstone thing, but like I said before, it's in my heart. Sometimes it's not what on you, it's what's in you. But make sure your closet is on standby with Grindstone Universal. Fine clothing. It's the epitome of urban luxury. And it's where progress is made and truth is revealed. And without further ado, I got a second to talk to you about dating. Yes. Yes. For some mysterious reason, and I'm sure some of you all know, some of you all are in the midst of experiencing this. I don't know why this is still a problem. Well, no. Actually, I do know why, and I'm here to give you the solutions to some of your issues. Both men, now, okay, I'll say both men and women. Now, I'm speaking explicitly for the black community, only because I haven't heard, sought out information, or talked to people of other races. So if, open your ears to this, open your eyes to this, if this applies to you too. I'm just not sure if it does. It might not, I don't know. But there are several eligible, counting them, they're single and they're sane and, you know, relatively attractive black women between the ages of, let's give it an age range, between the ages of 24 and 54. We're going to just, bow, drop that on you like that, right? There are plenty of women in this age range who are unable to find companionship. I mean, their phone be on. It it seems like a mystery, but it looks good, right? So you go out, you know. I live in D.C. Um, I don't care if I go to Miami, Oakland, New York City, Atlanta, DC, Maryland, Virginia. It don't matter where I go socially, just to pop out. There are groups of women together. Groups. And in this same room, there are not groups of men, right? In the same scenario. So I'm like, okay, it's beautiful. I love women with healthy social lives. I love that. That is, shout out to y'all. But a lot of the times, that's what those groups represent quite often is women who have dead ass dating lives. Damn. Now you would think, okay, okay, miss, you have you know how to dress, you're paying your bills, um, you have your basics handled. Now this isn't a story of how affluent you are. Some of y'all might have the Cartier, some of y'all might have the Chanel, some of y'all might have the Coach, some of y'all might have the Target. I'm not judging that. Okay. I'm just saying it depends on where you are in terms of being an independent, self sustained person with a perspective to want more and to feel deserving and to still feel you need to work for yours. You seem like you got it all together, right? And you probably do to a certain degree, but you're hitting the wall. But fear not, because women are not the only ones hitting the wall. And when I say hitting the wall, I don't mean that wall. Because some people is hitting the walls. Y'all, the lucky ones get to hit the walls. But I'm talking about you hit your limit of what it is that you're able to figure out in terms of why you are still without the companion who makes you happy, satisfies you, or the one who you feel like working together with to find fulfillment. Did I explain that well enough? Well, stick with me. So you have men who are unable to find the woman who checks boxes, which several men think are basic boxes. She's self-sustained. She can carry on a conversation. She's, I'm gonna say, domesticated, right? Not like domestic in the fact that she cooks every day and that every night or at some point she's mopping or something like that. I'm not saying that, but that she's able to do that at least. So men are at a loss for finding women who are just able to do some basics around the house, around the kitchen, and who I would say are approachable and less than narcissistic. Now, this isn't something, this isn't my report coming from my experience. This is my report coming from my experience of objective listening. Okay. So I'm telling you what the world's saying. So don't jump your cat claws in my face. Right. I'm just telling you that this is what's going on and this is what's on the minds of people. So you figure, okay, you got the men in the city and you got the women in the city and they can't come together like two titties. Like what's going on? I well, let me take you to where I think the problem lies. But it's really sad though because black people are supposed to be finding one another and having fun with one another, and especially in your 20s and freaking 30s, you're supposed to be fucking having a ball and figuring it out and doing all types of shit, right? That's when it's supposed to be fun. Hopefully it worked out in your 20s and 30s and then your mid to late 30s, or I don't know. At some point you're finding family or some shit, Hopefully you're not just fly to death, dripped out to death on your solo missions forever. Ladies with your eggs frozen, men, you're just getting older, caring about yourself more, and you haven't really found a way to fully express love to another human, meaning a child or the object of your social desire, but yeah, you're into yourself. That's cool, bro. But you're looking like a bro now. What's your bro noun, by the way? So, men and women finding themselves in the same city, they both have a certain level of self care, right? And then they're lonely. The fuck? So, this is the problem. This is what made millennials and Gen Z, yeah, millennials and Gen Z different than Gen X. This is where your problems originate. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? I'm gonna get you time to get your notepads out. That's my version of a drum roll. So here's the whole problem. Reality TV and social media. Reality TV and social media did us one big disservice. They did us a couple big disservices, but one of them that I could point out is the self consciousness that people have now. Now, do that mind exercise you did in the beginning, right? When you thought about when you take your mind here, think about in Genesis in the Bible when Adam and Eve were doing all the things that they felt like doing, they having fun. I don't know how old they were at that time. Or were they like in their 20s or were they like 200? The Bible was counting time kind of odd back then. But just think, they was kicking it. Then Eve started eating off this tree, offered it to Adam. He started eating off the tree. And then it was called the tree of knowledge, but they really became self-aware. And in that self-awareness, they became self-conscious. And in that self-consciousness, they became self-critical. And then they stopped having fucking fun and everything became bad. And it's been downhill from there. Well, in the early 2000s, that's what reality TV brought to us. And then, like a little bit beyond that, still early 2000s ish though, social media came. And first, social media was like, oh man, that's my friend I haven't seen since way back. That's my relative. My relatives and friends know each other. Ooh, who is that? She's cute. What's this? What's that? It was that, right? At first. Then social media became a place where, and fairly quickly too, kind of like in Genesis, everything became super negative. Everybody became criticized of absolutely everything they did. Now, if you were of a certain age, you could escape that criticism and let the computer be the computer. You could let the computer's Putin puke, right? If you're of a certain age. But if you're growing up into some formative years, even maybe in your early 20s, right? So from your baby steps to your early 20s, if you're anywhere off in there when all this became a thing, you're growing up with a certain level of self consciousness going on because everything you do is now being filmed and is being rated on a social level of acceptance by likes and comments. Everybody has something to comment about everything, how that person is eating, that person's edges, that person's everything. And let me tell you, when it comes to finding somebody, there's so much room for you to be imperfect. It was imperfect, ugly motherfuckers having sex from like 2000 and before any of this stuff, reality TV or any of this social media was out. So just think how long the timeline is that people were found acceptable to one another and little idiosyncrasies they had was found acceptable up until the point where absolutely everything got criticized. So y'all got cursed with judgment. I remember the first time I went out with somebody. This was like, well, I'm not gonna tell the year because I'm telling myself. I mean, telling myself, people would do some extrapolation and probably see who that was. But I remember dating somebody, and this was when I think for me, Facebook, Twitter was early. Instagram wasn't even out yet. But every place we walked into, she had to stop and take a picture. The food came out, she got to adjust it and take a picture. Now, I don't know if she was on Snapchat. I didn't even know it was going anywhere, but I was like, damn, this is so whack. Like, what the hell is going on? Why she got to take a picture of everything? We're here. Who cares where, like, what you doing? We just walked through the doorway. And mind you, I was having her on some fly shit though. Like we were going into some wonderful places, but bitch, enjoy the fact that this is wonderful already. You know what I'm saying? You're not enjoying the fact that it's wonderful because you putting on these fake poses. And this is like when duck lips was a thing, like she was Zoolander and everywhere. And I'm just like, the fuck is going on? I didn't know that she was taking these pictures to post on a platform that others would see. So I didn't get it because I wasn't yet involved in social media of any kind. I might have had a Facebook maybe, but it wasn't even, that's when people was arguing about I don't know, some fundamental basic shit. It wasn't even all involved like that yet. It hadn't even become it wasn't even the thing you would check daily for real. So anyway, um she was super self-conscious about absolutely everything going on around her and how it looked to others and how she was perceived to other people. And it made my experience with her less than, you know, because in my real mind, I was like, I fuck with her. But on my inside mind, I was like, this is unfuckwittable. I didn't even mean to press that. but that was the divine God showing me how much I was kidding myself, right? So just think everybody from, okay, so if it's 2025 now, that means if you're 35 years old now, if you're, oh man, this is ugly. If you're 40 years old now, you were 15 years old in 2000. Damn. So from 40 years old on down, man, you might even be able to say from 42 years old because they were like say 17. I'm gonna say from 41 years old on down, you were very much affected by what others think. And so what that does to you in a social setting, it prohibits you from being a natural fucking person. And so this is why you're prohibited because when you were 16, 17, you're still very much conscious of the people around you and who you are and how you fit. You're figuring that shit out. You're like of high school age. You're in adolescence. You're kind of on your manly shit, but you're growing. You're the fucking teenager. You're still growing. You're trying to figure out like where you fit in the hierarchy of your male counterparts, um, where you fit in your community, like how much of a contributor you could be in your home. You figuring out, are you still mama and daddy's boy? Do you belong to the streets? Is it gang gang? Is it, I got this? And then as a woman, you getting barked at by men. You might be, depending on where you grew up, you might be trying to fuck with a cotillion. Where's your coming out? You ain't figured out how to truly groom yourself. So it's still like all types of things that you're figuring out all through this teenage era, right? I mean, you get to college and people are still, it, motherfuckers be looking good, but they still got like a, a real goofy part of them that they probably don't figure out till like junior year, till they're like, 2021 when they got their shit kind of together. But you look at the freshman class, any freshman class of college, these motherfuckers do not have it figured out. And that's okay. But I'm just saying that in 2000, the 17-year-olds who are the 41-year-olds now, that's what that's where y'all were. Okay. And so you were very much concerned with um reality TV, laughing at people, judging people, what maybe Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat was saying about who was doing what and who's who and what they looked like when they were doing it. And so you grew up differently than Gen X because Gen X was on the I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do what I have to do. And I got my individual style. And I actually had to develop this, long walks to and from home, to and from the bus stop, working manually. The TV would go off at night. There would be no media. Like shit would just be off, everything off at a certain time. And I'm not saying because the parent, that's the way networks worked. Like shit would just be off at like, might fucked around been 2:30 a.m. or something like that. So you didn't have this 24-hour cycle of things that you could feed into. So with you feeling like you're constantly judged, graded, or being judged, you're now in a big old trick bag of individuality being a risk. If you do something that everybody else isn't doing, it's the what are those? The what's that? Everybody, like you feel like you might be putting yourself at risk to be a joke. And so a lot of you don't even develop personalities for that reason. You just get stunted. You don't even grow because you don't let yourself grow because you're too fucking afraid. Now, this is how this affects your dating life, men and women. So in public places where people go, like, yeah, you might go there because the food is good. Let's just pick a bar, restaurant, lounge, whatever. You might go there because the food is good, but you didn't put on the dress, and man, you didn't put on the cologne because the food is good. You showed up because it might be some bitches. And women, you showed up because it might be some dudes that were Hellcats, right? Somebody want to meet somebody most of the time. At least you want to be at your best shit. You know what I'm saying? You want to be like in your comfort zone of you want your representative to be in their comfort zone, right? So you show up to the place. But remember, you haven't developed individuality because you grew up in a time where individuality, a lot of the times, it was a gamble if it got praised or laughed at. And you didn't want to be laughed at because then you'd be like Carrie in that movie. You remember her mom? Everybody's gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. And when she was going to the dance, and boy, did Carrie turn out that dance. If you haven't seen the movie Carrie, check it out. It's a cult classic for the unpopular people. Like that was like the ultimate revenge for the unpopular girl at the high school dance who felt away. But anyway, when you're in public, if you don't do the nonverbal things that will attract conversation, then conversation might duck you. Or conversation will find you, but because you're in your feelings, you won't really know you won't have the breadth to entertain that. And so something very simple. If you go to a bar, if you're at a public place where people are there because obviously they want to be seen, and they might because they want to soak up the atmosphere in this room. If you were in your phone and looking in your phone, scrolling, now you might be alone, sitting there. You might have positioned yourself right at the bar, but you're at your shit scrolling. You were giving your attention to something. You may as well have a damn 8.5 by 14 legal pad in front of you writing notes. Like you look very occupied. You don't look like you're open to the atmosphere. You're not open for conversation. You scroller. You're not here to observe what's here. You are elsewhere. That is a very small social cue that will have the conversation ducking you. And the socially successful people don't hide in their phone or hide behind it. They don't do that. But because that's where a lot of you, not only a lot of you grew up in that little rectangular home, but a lot of you got your social morals there. So say it's a restaurant, you're at a restaurant and you scrolling looking up other restaurants. You already at a place. What you doing? Now that might be your nervous tick, that might be your boredom kicking in, but remember, things aren't when you're bored, it's probably because you're boring. That's how that works. So you took your boring ass out. You did your same rudimentary, boring ass things, and you didn't meet anybody. Well, it might have been several people in there to meet, but you were not open to the shit. Now, here's a little cheat code, and I found this. It was sent to me from TikTok, but I found, and a lot of you might have seen it. It's this one chick on there. She's talking about she does this thing called sticky eyes, and basically, I mean, it's a trip that she even gave a name for. Basically, she just looks at the motherfucker who she wants to talk to, and then she looks away. Well, like when he sees that he's looking at her, and then she looks at him again, and then this time she doesn't break the stare. And then usually if he breaks the stare, if he's first to break the stare, then she don't look at him again. And he comes to her. Well, that's the nonverbal communication. That's one of the ways that I'm talking about. All right. There's several, like not just in your eyes, but there's several ways that you can do things that let somebody know that it's cool to come interact with you. Not even that you want to jump their bones or you want it to happen vice versa, but just that it's cool. And a lot of you all have up the gates in public that makes it not cool. A lot of y'all motherfuckers don't know how to smile. And that's why your phone's like this. Because you're looking like a big ass challenge. And some people will go for the challenge, but the people who usually go for the challenge are usually the ones who want to win. So once they have tackled that challenge, you're not as interesting anymore. And they don't want continuous challenges. They just want to see if they could just tush push through your defense. You know what I'm saying? So then you also have with the men, I gotta say it, a lot of y'all grew up soft as a pile of baby powder socially. Okay, this ain't saying you don't have your hood stripes or that you I don't know, whatever else makes you feel good about yourself. I'm not saying that. But a lot of y'all, you got mushy feelings about how other people think about you because of your social media rearing, right? And so therefore the rejection that you might face by just being yourself to somebody who you don't know, that might hurt your feelings in a way that you find more embarrassing than the situation really lends to. So then you buckle to that and then you don't get to know anybody. Sucks for you. Part of the game is going up and shooting your shot, right? But to keep it a buck, to get your percentages high, you shoot your shot to the goal that was presenting itself as a makeable goal. So don't just bust up through and try to strike the challenge down. You're going to have a lower percentage. It might be fun though. So I'm not going to stop you from having fun. But who, the women who got enough game to, or not even enough game, it's a combo. It's enough game and it's enough transparency. That's the best word. That was me like giving myself a round of applause for thinking of the word. Right. But I never had this problem simply because
Oakland, California, that's where I'm from. Don't stop macking.
uh-huh.
Don't stop capping. Don't stop macking.
Yeah. See, in my city, in my era, man, going up and shooting your shot was like that was rudimentary. It was like eating lunch. It was just a thing that you do probably several times in your day. And motherfuckers was interacting, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't work out. But everybody had somebody in their well, I can't even say in their phone. Everybody had somebody in their phone book at that time who, you made it cool with because it was enough people shooting enough shots socially, and it wasn't all this social restraint because we weren't judged about everything we did. And even if we were judged, then it was a big fuck you. We weren't tripping. It didn't matter. Y'all worry too much about what everybody else thinks. And I just advise you to shake that through doing some work on yourself. Like in the moment when you're out, you probably in too deep. It's probably way too much work that you haven't done to try to correct it in that moment. But it comes down to you accepting who you are and liking that person or working on that person. Then seeing somebody who matches you or seeing somebody who is eligible, who you think it makes sense to talk to meet, it's not that big of a deal. It only makes sense. I remember one time, it's story time. I remember one time I was at this party in Oakland. I don't know, I probably told this story on here before, but I was at a Christmas party in Oakland. And I saw this girl who went to my high school. Now, when I was in 10th grade, she was in 11th grade. So, you know how that works. The 11th graders appear to be way older than the 10th graders just because the way shit's divided. You know, y'all could blend at lunch, y'all could blend on the bus, but it's pretty much like they got the older friends and you got the younger friends. And you know, like I said, there is a mix, but it's just different when you're younger. So you know, she was like the older, she was older, she was cute. She wasn't the most popular, but she wasn't not popular. She was cute and she used to fight. I don't know if this shit is still popping, but like back in the day, the girls who could fight were popular. Like that shit was a thing, you know. And it wasn't the most attractive thing, but it did garner attention, and attention is big currency when you're in high school, you know. So seemed like she was, you know, she was wearing a beanie and shit, and she was always fighting, but she was hella cute though, right? And so I did not know her in high school, but at this Christmas party, I saw her, and this was years ago, but and it was before social media was a thing. But I saw her at this, and now we're both adults at this time, right? And so I see her at this Christmas party. Now it's a Christmas party, okay? That means it's cold outside. That means that if you're at the Christmas party, and it was a house Christmas party, so it wasn't at a club or nothing. So if you came to this person's house to get to have your fun and whatever at this Christmas party, you did that. You meant to be there. You went there on purpose to have a pleasant time, right? So I go, I'm in the joint, I'm looking around, I'm feeling good about myself. I did well for myself as a man, you know? So I show up in the party as love, as hugs. At that time, it was Hennessy. We, you know, it's all good. Everything is everything. And I see her, and Time treated her really fair. She looked really nice. And I go up and I talk to her. I shoot my shot. Now, mind you, we didn't know each other in high school, which means that we never knew each other. So I go up, I talk to her. I say whatever I said. I'm not gonna front like I remember my shot from the free throw line, but I said what I said. And then her attitude was hella stanky, right? And it was her and her homegirl standing there. But they weren't standing there hella engaged with each other. They were standing there looking at the party, you know, chilling though. But so she pretty much put the gates up so I couldn't have no more communication with her. But whatever it was some bullshit. I was in a good enough place with myself where I'm just gonna summarize it because I was trying to think of the exact words. No way I remember them. But I was like, okay, um, you doing all right? And then she was like, yeah, I'm fine. Okay. Um, what did I say to you? And I did not say these words, right? But this is the gist of the conversation. It was pretty much like, what did I say to you that makes you not want to talk to me? You know? And then she was like, she looked at me like, huh? And so I repeated myself, you know, what did I say to you? What did I give off that makes you not want to talk to me? I mean, here we are at a fucking Christmas party. Why wouldn't you want to talk to me? Is it me? Or is something going on with you? Whatever it was that I said really made her think about the shit. And she looked at me like a slave set free. And she was like, you know what? I didn't expect anybody to question when I didn't give them the attention that the conversation was calling for. I just thought that everybody would just walk away. And then so I was pretty much like, well, why would you come here to make niggas walk away? Right. And then she was just like, you know what? My homegirl telling me I need to get up out of that. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We fucked around, exchanged numbers, talked for a little while longer, probably drank some drinks together. I can't even remember, but the night was pleasant, ended up cool. Now, at this time, I lived in DC. So I go back to Oakland on the holiday. So I knew my time was limited. Next day, I hit her up. What's up? Man, she was a whole fucking kind feline. She was like, oh, I'm cool. I got to do something with my daughter or whatever it was. What you doing later? Man, later I'm fucking with you. All right, cool. Um, she asked me if I like something. I cannot fucking remember if I like soup. It might have been, do you like soup or some shit? Yeah, fuck yeah, I like soup. And she was like, do you get pedicures? Yes. Now this wasn't the first conversation, but it was the first day. We probably had a couple conversations that day on the phone, talked. Text wasn't it at that time, right? I mean, you could text, but that wasn't. And that's another problem with y'all right now. Like niggas be texting too much. It's too impersonal. You're not hearing how a person breathes, laughs. You're not moving air. Y'all just texting, moving thumbs. That ain't gonna get you in the same place. So anyway, we're talking. She asked me if like my food preference or whatever, and and do I like pedicures? Yeah, bet. So I get over. So she invited me over her house, but she didn't invite me over her house that night. It was the next. No, she might have. I'm. I can't remember. I might have gone over her house that night, and we kicked it. Shit was cool. Shit was real cool. Shit was real cool.
Oakland, California, that's where I'm from. Won't this don't.
But it wasn't. Anyway, that's TMI. But it was real cool. So then the next day is when I went over there, and then and I get over there. The house is smelling nice and peaceful, and you know the incense or whatever was cracking, and she had some food prepared, right? And it was like some soup, right? She asked me, it was some good ass soup too, like some mushroom shit. I can't even remember. And then she was like, sit down, I want to give you a pedicure. I'm like, what? Huh? Me? Right? So it's like December 27th or some shit. Whatever it was, like we just came from the damn Christmas party. And the Christmas party wasn't on Christmas, but it was just like shit just happened. So laid it out all nice, pedicure, and I was like what the fuck is going on? Like you was the mean girl. Like what's going on? Like how do you turn to that this? And so she was like, well, I grew up very hospitable, and she told me like she was like, I'm a quarter Japanese, and so my grandmother, um, like she walked me through like all these Japanese ways and how the home needs to be, and meditation and Buddhism and all this. Now, mind you, I just remember her from AC Transit, which is the public bus line in Oakland, and running up and down the halls fighting in high school. So this is blowing my mind. I'm like, oh shit, I fucked around, hit the jackpot with a peaceful, beautiful ass, brown skinned queen who likes to take care of niggas. Woo! I'm feeling away, right? And long story short, that's why I'm walking y'all down memory lane. Long story short, um, we ended up having a high quality but short lived long distance relationship. And the main reason is because it was long distance. 3,000 miles away, you can't really sustain and maintain. But that shit was beautiful. And she really changed my perspective on a lot of the things that one should do with oneself to grow oneself. Because I had seen the growth in her. And then she told me her whole story about like, why she was like that at school, where her, where all that sauce came from. And I was just like, damn, okay. I respect it. But a lot of her shit made me look at myself in a way that beforehand I had never looked at myself. But at this, I'm looking at my inner self. See, a lot of y'all are drawing cues looking at how the world looks at you. And that's the fucking mistake. You see? So that was a story of social triumph, going up shooting my shot, and and what the fuck? And when somebody looks at their inner self, how they level up and become more of a social asset, right? And that's what I really recommend to even though you have to look in your phone or on your iPad or TV or whatever the fuck computer, you gotta look at some digital device to even absorb this game that I'm giving. But you gotta after you soak this up, you gotta put that shit down and you gotta work on yourself, right? And then you know where your value is. So I walked in that room that night at that party. I knew what my value was just to me, not even to the world, just to me. I knew what the fuck time it was. And so if somebody was like saying no, I didn't take that shit personally. Really, I was asking her, like, what the fuck is it? So I would know what I'm giving. You know, I wasn't mad, but I was like, damn, what you seeing that I'm not seeing, right? And so I just advise everybody to study themselves so you can have the confidence that I had that night, and then so you could also have the bounce back in your character and the growth that she showed me as we went forward. So anyway, um, y'all are just victims of the times, but you got to break those chains. You know, you got to break the Adam and Eve tree of knowledge shit that y'all built that has y'all all self conscious. And now, when you're self conscious, you're not standing on your square. Now, when you're not standing on your square, you're easily led astray to anything. You'll do anything that looks like acceptance, that looks like social shelter. And that's why men and women from age 24 to 40, and it might even be younger than 24, because I don't know if y'all meeting each other in high school now, right? But that's why y'all are fucked up without companionship. That's why. And you have to understand what corrupted the social atmosphere so you understand how to correct it. You got to deal with yourself. You got to deal with yourself. And then that'll have you receiving other motherfuckers. So, just for basic instructions, do not be in public at a place where you think you showed up to meet somebody or enjoy the atmosphere at least and be living in your phone. Man, nobody with no fucking sense is about to fuck with you because now I got to get in your phone to interact with you. Oh, what's your IG? Okay, now I'm DMing you. You're not moving sound. You're not moving wind. You're not moving molecules doing that. You're not getting to know a person. You're probably cutting and pasting. So then you develop that corniness, that phoniness. And then when you deal with yourself, you actually develop something. Who knows? You might like to bake. You might like to fish. You might like to do community events. You might be a math genius. Who knows what the fuck it is? But you got to find that out because it ain't nothing worse than flying out somebody. I know a lot of y'all like to live in the air on your flew out status. It ain't nothing worse than flying out a boring ass bitch. Oh my God. Mm-mm. I've done it before. That shit is the worst. Like you done hook me in with your looks and all that shit. We have like basic surface conversation. You got a couple little things that you talk about, but that ain't shit. And then you really have nothing. You really just empty. And it's not even that you have a bad attitude, but you don't have a nothing. You're just a nothing. And part of it is you're trying like long ago you made a decision to protect who you really are inside because you're afraid of ridicule or some type of social harm that your real self hasn't reached the surface. So then when you show up, it ain't nothing there. It ain't even vanilla there. It's just like, the fuck is this? You an empty container, beautiful, physically beautiful ass empty container. And that shit ain't fly. And so then you take yourself out of the conversation for if a man is like if a man's like, man, who's who and who could do what, a man won't count you in that loop because you are just as empty as the other people who get overlooked. And so I think up to this point, because of social media, so much has gotten poured into how people look and how people give off this external appearance and you're the flavor of the day. I think so much has gotten poured into that y'all forgot to check inside your own house, your own self. And it's time that you do that shit. And it's time that you craft this self of yours and then you test it to see like if it's functional in the world. You don't just work on yourself and then tell people how much you've worked on yourself. That ain't how that shit works. And so a lot of you single men and single women are suffering the effects of personality dysmorphia. It means you think you have a personality, but you don't. You think you fill up a room with your personality, but you fucking don't. And it's okay if you don't, but that's where you're fucked up with it. And then you don't know how to talk to people. And then you're short with people. And you think like you want to hop in the comment section in real life, but there is no comment section. You are the comment section. Speak to the motherfucker. Who knows who you talking to and what they might be interested in. And a lot of the times you won't fuck with somebody because how you think the comment section might talk about that somebody who you might actually be interested in, but you won't give them no play because you're worried about it. That's where y'all be taking L's, men and women. That's where y'all be taking L's. Talk about it, church. So anyway, that's the training wheels as to why your social life is fucked up. I just wanted to drop that on you right quick. I feel it's necessary, and sometimes I'm here to help. But for right now, I'm Grindstone. This has been Sorry for My Language. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, drop a comment. And don't forget, visit grindstoneuniversal.com. Until next time.